You probably know that the serve is one of the most important shots in padel. You know the basics and the ball is going in, but the reality is that your opponent is not having any kind of trouble returning your serve. You are just using this shot as a way of starting the point without adding any type of pressure from the very beginning. In today's video, I will be sharing with you my best padel tips to take your serve to a completely new level. And by the way, these are the tips that you will see that every Premier Padel player uses in their games. So make sure that you stay till the end of this video. Vamos! Tip number one, every good serve has to have a slice. And the best thing that we can do to make sure that we add a slice is to start the motion with the racket up. If you watch the pros, they are always gonna go with the racket here. Okay, because every time I prepare the racket above the ball, I'm gonna be able to slice. And if I want to take this to the next level, I'm gonna get it really high, I'm gonna drop the ball, and I'm gonna push from here. It would be really hard to do this preparing the racket low, because from here it's really hard to play with a good slice without lifting the ball. So why is so important to add a slice whenever we are serving? First, because I want to force the opponent to play really low, ideally below the knee. Also, because if the ball touches the glass, as soon as it touches the glass, it's gonna drop, which is gonna make things really hard for them. And the other really important aspect, and you might watch this in Premier Padel, is that the serve is not going really fast. Because if I serve really fast, for example, flat, yes, the ball is traveling really fast, but the reality is that the opponent is going to return and I'm not going to have time to get to the net. So it's much more important the rotational speed rather than the translational speed, okay? Because at the moment the opponent is returning that ball, if he's coming with a slice, he's going to feel really heavy, and it's not that easy to play that ball without lifting it too much. Tip number two, and this is a special one because I've never seen it on YouTube. So make sure that you drop us a like if you like the exclusive content that we share with you, Padel Driver. We're gonna talk about the hand that is dropping the ball. And it's really important that you keep it in tension. I see so many players that whenever they drop the ball, they leave the left hand here, close to the body, without doing anything, okay? The left hand, once you drop it, has to be in tension, okay? Again, make sure it doesn't drop and stays here without doing anything. Make sure once you drop it, you keep it there in tension before removing it. And you might be wondering, why? And that's a really good question. Because if I drop the ball and I keep the left hand here, the left side of my body is without tension. So I'm just playing with my right side. However, if I keep it there, I'm actually putting under tension all this part that is needed to have a balanced shot. So give it a try and let me know in the comments down below if you think this tip is helpful. Tip number three, you want to make the most out of the legal height for your serve, which is to remember that you can hit until waistline, okay? So you don't want to be dropping the ball here and hitting there because it's a complete waste, okay? Make sure that you are dropping the ball from shoulder height, which is going to give you that waistline, or if you prefer, although it's a bit harder, you can also, rather than dropping, you can push a bit like I do to make sure that you get that height. But it requires a bit of practice, okay? Make sure that you try both before deciding which one works best for you. If you hit too low, the reality is that the ball always gonna go from low to high to go low again, which is gonna make your serve really, really weak. You wanna make sure that you are making the most out of that height allowed. And I see so many players that they are so scared to make this fault of hitting above the waistline. And they always keep it really safe hitting around here. My recommendation, don't be scared of hitting around the limit. If at some point you serve a bit higher than you should, don't worry, your opponent is gonna call it. So don't be afraid of hitting around waistline. So basically with this tip, we are changing the trajectory from being this one to this one, which is gonna be much more efficient and much harder for your opponent to return. Tip number 4, you need to understand that there are basically two different ways of serving. The first one is starting directly with the left foot in front, in my case, because I'm right-handed. So I'm hitting and then I move to the net, okay? And the second one is rather than starting with the left foot in front, which is the final position, I'm gonna start with the right foot and I'm gonna take one step when I'm serving. Which one is better? It depends. Give it a try with both and see which one works best for you. You're gonna see pros doing one and doing the other one. So again, in my opinion, for me, I personally prefer the second one because it's a bit more dynamic and it allows you to start moving to the net a bit faster. But I see so many good players that they do the other one. Recommendation, try both and choose one. Tip number 5, make sure that you are putting the weight of your body forward when hitting. So it has to look something like this. I'm gonna make sure I'm getting all that weight of my body into the ball. And there are two reasons. The first one is that it's gonna be much easier to add control power when I'm doing it. And the second one is that it's gonna allow me to get to the net much quicker. Okay, so it's a really important point that you have to make sure that you add to your serve routine. There is a really big difference between putting the weight in and falling forward and doing this typical mistake of hitting, looking where the ball is going, and then start running to the net, because obviously this doesn't work. So remember, I want to be putting all the weight forward so that I can start running right after hitting. Tip number 6, the different directions when you are playing the serve in Padel. I see so many students that, for example, when they want to go to the glass, they end up dropping the ball and hitting there with the wrist so that the ball can go to that direction. This is wrong. The way we choose the direction in Padel is with the point of impact. So for example, if I want to go to the tee, I'm going to drop the ball a bit more in front so that I can hit it there. And if I'm going to go to the glass, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the ball a bit farther back so that I can go to the glass. But again, it's not with the wrist. It depends on where I drop the ball so that I can choose the right point of impact. Some of my students, they tell me, but Gonzalo, if you drop the ball here or here, I can know from the other side where you're serving and my return is always going to be stronger. They might be right, so we're going to do an experiment, okay? I'm going to send the camera to the other side of the court and then you tell me if you know the difference. So for example, let's see if you can guess where I'm going before I drop the ball. Okay, I'm going to drop it here. Where I'm going, to the center or to the glass? You can pause the video and let me know in the comments. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Okay, pause the video again. Where I'm going, to the glass or to the center? If I wanted to go to the glass, it would be this one. Do you really see a difference? Let me know in the comments down below. Tip number 7, and this one is extremely important. I can promise it's gonna make a huge difference. Try to remember the results of the previous serves whenever you are serving to a given player. So for example, my partner is here, I'm gonna serve to the guy on the right side, and you will see that many times whenever you serve here, if this guy is a right-handed player, he has to play with the backhand, and he's gonna struggle a lot keeping the ball back to your direction. Okay, so for example, you will see so many players that whenever you serve to the backhand, they try to hit the lob and it's short. So for example, this can be a hint that you want to serve to this direction many times. It can be the case that you're playing against someone that whenever you serve here, for example, he doesn't deal well with the glass that particular day. So you want to play to the glass until he's able to fix that problem. Remember, keep a record in your mind of your previous serves and try to make the most of a given direction if your opponent is struggling. An additional point on this matter. Let's imagine that I have served to this guy like 3 or 4 times in a row to the glass. Whenever we get to an important point, for example, golden point, if you play with golden, or a 40-30, try to change it. Okay, we've been serving to the glass, so for example, the next one, we're gonna serve to the line of his body. Okay, you're gonna see that you're gonna catch him by surprise, and many times he won't be able to get a good return because he was expecting the same serve that you played previously. Indeed, the serve to the body is completely underrated because it's gonna catch your opponent by surprise many times. Whenever they serve to my body, I have to be able to move away to hit, okay? And you will see that many players, whenever they are not expecting the serve to their body, they end up hitting like this or like this, and the return is usually really weak. So give it a try. Give it a try to the serve to the body. And let me know again in the comments if this tip worked for you. And tip number 8, which is heavily linked to where you serve, is the tactical decision behind the first volley. So many times whenever we serve to the tee and we get here, the first volley is going to be really interesting to play to the side, okay, because we always want to force this guy to play while he's moving. So again, if I serve to the tee, the first volley is going to go to the side, and if I do the opposite, for example, if the first serve goes to the side, then I come here, first volley to the center, to make him move all the time. Give it a try and you're gonna be surprised how many times your opponent misses after your first volley. By the way, we have noticed that differently to other channels, many people watching this video, they are indeed subscribed to the channel. So I wanted to say a massive thank you to all of you paddle drivers. You guys are the best. And if you're not subscribed, we want to welcome you to the Paddle Drive family. Make sure that you subscribe because it helps us a lot. Thank you for watching and we will see you in the next one. ¡Vamos! ¡Chuu! Ya está, ¿no? ¡Chuu!